Hey, welcome to FunNGun. Got a cool project on the table for you today, but before I get into that, I want to say up front right here that absolutely no firearms in this video are for sale. None of the links in this video, none of the codes in this video have anything to do with firearm sales whatsoever. None of the parts in this video, none of the accessories in this video are for sale. This video is intended for educational purposes only. Therefore, all the pricing in this video is for educational purposes only because absolutely nothing is for sale here. I'm also going to go ahead and try to use the word beans as pricing here, so hopefully YouTube can just go ahead and leave me alone on that. Now that we went ahead and clarified that, I want to say a big thanks to Celia Optics for bringing me on as an affiliate of their brand. If you're looking for a good red dot sight, it's not going to break the bank, you can use the link in the description below there to go ahead and open up their website and then use code FunNGun at checkout to get 10% off nearly everything on there. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is show you that this particular gun is unloaded. There is nothing in the chamber there. There is nothing in the magazine. I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. And I figured I'd do this a little bit different. I figured just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity right here to go ahead and make a guess to what you think I actually have in this overall build. And I'm going to give you two prices, one with the sight and one without, because this actual Cat EDG was sent to me by Celia Optics to do a review on. So I don't actually have anything in it. So therefore, it doesn't really affect what I have in the overall build, but I will give you both prices just for fun. And if you're interested in checking out the Cat EDG, I'll go ahead and link to my durability test / review on this particular sight at the end of the video here. And I gotta say, spoiler alert, this little sight is extremely durable, and it is also a fully enclosed emitter there, so really nice little setup if you want to check that out afterwards. I'm also going to go ahead and link to my Apollo 11 video at the end as well, so you can kind of see where some of my ideas for changing parts on this particular gun came from, because I was not really originally thrilled with the original Apollo 11 I had the chance to review. And I will say most of that came from the 3D printed factory grip. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and cover a few more things here. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a look at what the gun has done to it here to help you guess a little bit better. And I'm going to go ahead and say I did pick this gun up used. So go ahead and drop two guesses in the bottom right there. And if you want to go ahead and drop a third guess once I kind of give you what all the parts cost as we go here, and get closer to the end there, you can go ahead and make another guess there if you want to, and see how close you can get to how much I actually have in this little setup here, because I will say you'll be really surprised, because I was actually pretty surprised how good I came out on this. So we're going to start off on the bottom right here with the mag well, and this is just a eBay mag well that is made for an STI / infinity frame or a staccato. And that's what this grip was designed to accept, was a staccato style mag well. So went ahead and picked this up for 32.09 beans off of eBay, and that come with the longer pin. And the only thing I really did here was go ahead and blend it to the actual grip here, and I'll insert a picture off to the side of what it looked like, and I'll try to insert a picture of it blended as well after that, so you can kind of get a close look at what it looked like before and after, because it would work just fine before, but I figured since I was doing a build here, I would have went ahead and blended it to make it that much easier to get the magazine in. So magwell, really good deal there, solid aluminum, and I feel like it's kind of a rip if you're paying more than that when you could get this nice of a magwell for that kind of money. So my opinion there. Let's go ahead and, well, before we move on to the grip, I will talk about how well this magwell actually fits there, and that's why I say that's such a good deal, because there's no gaps in this grip either. So really good deal on the magwell there. So let's go ahead and move on to the grip here. And this is a Warwick Tactical Chain Link grip, and these grips are usually 400 beans in the unfinished configuration, as you can see here, and that comes with the mainspring housing and the actual magazine release button as well. Now the cool thing here is when I was at the Gold Show the other day, I actually picked this up from them for 100 beans as a factory blem. And what's actually wrong with this grip is the fact that the grip texture is supposed to be their medium chain link, and I don't know if they did this on purpose as a test or whatnot, but they actually have all of the centers of these milled out more than they normally are, so these little studs in the middle are kind of nice and sharp there. And I actually did take a file and knock the tips of them down a little bit because it was really aggressive. But just that one thing on the grip alone there got me a significant discount, as you could hear there. And I will say this is a really nice feeling grip, even with the grip texture being a little different than it's supposed to be. It goes ahead and locks into your hand very nicely. It is double undercut right here, so you can get a nice high ride on the grip as well. You do get a little bit of traction on the front. You got a nice texture on the front strap right there, and the back strap as well, and the mainspring housing. Now, to get this grip to fit this particular gun, what I did have to do here is I did have to sand down or file down the top of the mainspring housing so it would allow for the actual grip safety to fit into the gun. And the cool thing here is I'm not a huge fan of functional grip safeties anyways, and you could have made this function, but it's how tight this grip safety actually fit this grip and mainspring housing. It went ahead and pinned it. So as you can see there, when I'm pressing on it, it does not move whatsoever. It is already just fully engaged right there, to the point where I actually went ahead on the mainspring housing in there while I was doing the tuning on it. I just cut the fork off of the spring that would actually reset your grip safety there. So it is a non-functioning grip safety, and it allows for you to get a nice high ride on the grip. And you do have the memory bump there that kind of goes ahead and helps lock your hand in place. So overall, really nice grip. Got that at an absolute steal of a price there. And the cool thing was, like I said, it come with a magazine release button, and it was already drilled and tapped. So I went ahead and slapped a larger button on there, and that was 20 beans. And that's going to bring us to the trigger here. Now, I will say, did not have to put this trigger in it because the Apollo 11 actually comes with a factory red dirt trigger in it. This is a curved, I believe this is would be a C3 size, I believe. The only thing it doesn't come with is it does not come with the, the pre-travel screw. You do have the post-travel screw in there, but for some reason they don't give you the pre-travel. So I went ahead and put another set screw in there because at one point I did have this trigger in the gun and it did function just fine. So I didn't really have to pick up the red trigger here. Well, technically I already had it from another build. I pulled it out and put it in this. Long story, but we're not going to get into that in this video. But either way, ended up with a flat-faced. This is an F1 from Red Dirt in the gun. So that was 75 beans. And if you go ahead and use the factory trigger here, I'll put a picture off the side. And with it in there, I consider this that kind of the tuxedo look because it was all blacked out with the silver grip there, kind of a whitish grip. And that did look really cool, but it also looks good with the red trigger and it fits my hand a lot better. So that is the trigger we have here. Now, like we said before, the gun is unloaded there. And I have it set with just a touch of take up there. Nice clean break. And a nice positive reset. And the trigger is breaking sub-pound or 3 pounds the way I have it set there. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about, or I'll insert a picture, off to the side there of what the actual trigger weight is. And now we're going to go ahead and talk about what we did to the inside of the gun to go ahead and help it out there a little bit. We not only put the trigger in there, this is all the factory components, but they were all nice and deburred and went ahead and stoned them as well. And I will link to the video of the guy. He's actually talking about a Springfield Prodigy, but all the same stuff applies to this and pretty much any other 2011 as well. I'll go ahead and try to link to his video in the description as well. So if you want to go ahead and check out him going over all the steps to deburring different parts of this gun and kind of stoning them out, you go ahead and I went ahead and stoned the sides of the hammer, the bottom of the strut. I went ahead and cleaned it up, rounded it off so it would travel smoothly inside of the mainspring housing. We also have a 19-pound hammer spring in there. That was 9.10 beans, 9 beans and 10 cents roughly. So that wasn't too expensive a part. I always go with the 19. I feel like 17. When I tried the 17 in a gun, it made it feel a little odd. So I've always went with a 19. And it also has a 11-pound recoil spring in it, which was 10.59 beans. So 2 cheap upgrades there. And it actually had the recoil spring in it. I'm just going to go ahead, or when I got the gun, but I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the price as well. And it also has, let's see if I have one here on hand. I believe I do right there. Has one of these Wilson Combat shock buffers in it as well. And I didn't include that in the price because, well, I had that laying around. I don't remember how much I paid for those. But either way, it has a shock buffer in there as well. And the reason I went with the 11-pound spring is because that is the lightest spring that Atlas makes for a 4.25-inch gun. So I figured 4.25-inch gun, the lowest that Atlas recommends is 11 pounds. So 11 pounds is what I ended up going with. And that was conveniently what it already had in it from the buddy that I purchased this gun from. So just left that alone. So that is kind of what we did to the inside of this. Like I said, did a lot of polishing and stuff. I don't see no point in replacing all the internals when I can clean them up, smooth them up, and just make the trigger better myself. Now, if any of these parts fell over time, I can replace them then. And it still has the factory ambi safety there. All nice, tightly fit. None of that was a problem to start with. Now, I did try and change the slide stop, but the one I picked up off eBay never arrived, so I ended up having to get my money back. So that's something I might do in the future, because I do prefer the ones that sweep back and get out of the way of my grip, because the way I grip the gun, my thumb likes to land just kind of right on the edge of that, and it can make it to the point where the gun doesn't want to lock open. So that's everything from there down. And the biggest change is the tri-port here. And I like to call this kind of the surprised face port. As you can see there, it looks like a surprised face in my opinion. And yeah, I could have went ahead and sent this back in to Live Free Armory and had them do their factory porting on the barrel. That would have been a little bit cheaper. But I feel like this is a little bit more effective, and it's completely unique to this gun, and it's kind of cool looking. I went ahead and had a third window added at the top right here, and we put a peel in the top of it right here. And then we put two smaller peels off to the side that correspond with the windows in the slide itself there. And I got to say, that works very well. Now, I did forget to get footage of me firing the gun before I had it ported, because I got a little carried away with it, and I meant to borrow one of my buddy's guns and have that part of the footage. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and insert some footage showing me shoot this in slow motion that shows you how well these ports actually work. So let's go ahead and show you that now. Okay, as you can see there, those three ports right there work very good. You're getting roughly 1.5 inches of muzzle rise. Now, like I said, I have no data from what it was before that, but my best guess would be probably losing at least 1 inch of muzzle rise with the ports, because that's generally what I get, and that's along with the springing of the gun and the buffer. The buffer doesn't do quite so much in the muzzle rise department, but I will say that that's the buffer. A lot of people don't like the buffers, but as long as the gun will lock open properly with the buffer, I like to run the buffer, and that is because I like when the slide comes to the rear, it deadens the blow in your hand, and it just makes it feel like the gun is shooting softer, along with the ports there, and the lighter spring is just a nice shooting gun. And another thing I did is, now this is still not going to be the absolute smoothest gun ever. This gun has quite a bit of slide to frame wobble in it, so it's not just the utmost quality gun to start with. But what I went ahead and did there to go ahead and kind of help break this gun in, because it hadn't been shot a whole lot, is I went ahead and kind of did the redneck kind of way of breaking the slide in there. I went ahead and took some cheap toothpaste and a little bit of gun oil there, and I put it on the rails on the inside there and just sit there and work the slide back and forth for quite a while there, and that went ahead and smoothed the gun up a little bit there, because I believe this gun is Cerakoted, and I will say Cerakote on this gun was already beat up a little bit when I got it. You got some little nicks right here, some scratches and everything, and I will say that is the cheapest looking part of the gun, is the fact that it is Cerakoted, and they didn't really do it very good from the factory. It just kind of looks like it's too thick for the gun. It's just poor looking Cerakote. So if I do end up hanging on this gun for long enough, I will more than likely have this Cerakoted, because that does bug me a little bit. And that is not something I have changed on the gun obviously yet. It's just something I figured I'd mention, that yeah, Live Free, you need to work on your finish there, because that could be better. So overall, this come to be a really good shooting gun after doing all the work to it here, and just a really cool looking gun as well. Pretty happy with it, like I said. So let's go ahead and get into what I actually have in the full build here. And I'm going to go ahead and mention that I picked the gun up used for a cool 450 beans. Yep, got a steal on this deal. Appreciate my buddy for cutting me a really good deal on this, because he actually got it for an even better deal than that from another buddy that needed some money. So got a really good deal on the gun overall. So what we have in this, let me go ahead and swap over to the page here. So the way it sits right here, minus the sight, was 846.78 beans. So we're just going to go ahead and round it up to 847 beans there. And then that was what I had in it without the sight prior to moving the factory grip along to someone else on eBay. And after eBay bent me over, I ended up with 78 beans on that deal as well. So that brought my grand total minus the sight to 768.78 beans overall in the particular gun. And with the sight on there, it is a total of 1,020.75, because the sight with my code on Sealy's website comes out to 252 beans, which is a really good deal for this particular sight with how durable it is and all the accessories, all the features you get with that little sight. So overall, it turned out to be a really cool build. Runs really well for me so far, and I do plan on shooting this in IDPA at one of the competitions coming up this month. So if you're interested in seeing that video, once I get it made, it will be linked at the end of this one. Well, I already told you I'd link 2 more videos at the end of this one. So at that point, I may do away with the Apollo 11 video and just link the competition footage for this gun at the end. So if that's not at the end there, it will be coming. So that's really all I had for you today. I figured I'd show you this pretty cool setup and just what all I've done to it here and how I did it on a budget. And that's all I had for you today. Okay, if you made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. If you're looking for more FunNGun right now, you can click one of the 2 recommended videos there. If you're looking for more FunNGun later, you can go ahead and click that there subscribe button. I sure would appreciate it. And if you're finding me from Facebook, go ahead and click that open app button at the top to make all that a lot easier. And I'll see you next time.